In this orthokeratology case, we can see how the patient's posterior topography has transitioned over time to something that started out really well centered to becoming shifted nasally a little bit more and more as time has progressed. So with the final or with the most current topography, the patient's also got a little bit of undercorrection and is only seeing about 20/40 when the lens is removed, and this is the right eye. So if I bring up the lenses, we've had the two different lenses for this patient so far. With the modification, the second lens, I'm seeing a little bit of increase in sagittal depth of the lens, and then also turn the blending back on. And blending on again, I think is a good move. I feel like that does help lenses center a little bit better. And the increased sagittal depth often helps too, although I'll come back and I think we might touch that up at the end. The big change I would recommend making to this lens is going with a larger OAD. With the baseline topography, I'm measuring at about 11.3 HVID, and I measure HVID very generously. I can probably even um, kind of manipulate that to even larger. And so I think if we go to a 11.1 diameter lens for this patient, it will not be too large at all. I can even imagine putting in 11.2 and 11.3 on this patient. Starting from 10.3 though, going all the way up to 11.1 is already pretty significant. So let's just go with that for now. And so 11.1. So what that does is it also changes the position of the OZ and IC, and we need to readjust those. Originally, they were at 6.2 and 7.2. If we want to move this one back to 6.2, I think that's fine. And then instead of having a reverse curve that's 1 full millimeter wide, I think I might bring this down to 6.8 so that it's just over half a millimeter wide. And really all that does is it gives us more lens in the periphery that will land on the cornea and align. We do need to readjust our power. I believe the second lens was around 1.17. Why don't we go back to the 1.23 that we had for the first lens, since the patient is a little bit undercorrected. And then another question we want to look at is whether the patient is undercorrected because the treatment is decentered, or if it's because of the changes to the lens, perhaps the decrease in the power or the increased sagittal depth of the lens. Is there insufficient central bearing now, which is causing the patient to be undercorrected, or is it purely just the decentration of the treatment that's causing the undercorrection? And I don't really know for sure. It's probably a combination of the two. But strategically, since we want to order ideally as few lenses as possible, I don't think it's a bad idea to go ahead and bump that power a little bit. The next thing I want to do is double check my meridians and make sure that they are pretty uniform, and it looks like they are. Sometimes when we make changes, the power gets kind of funny in certain meridians and we have to touch that up. In this case, it doesn't look like we have to do that. Don't forget to reset center thickness to whatever your preference is. And then finally, I would reduce the sag a little bit in this case, mainly because from the other post-wear topographies, it's maybe a little bit loose in the periphery, but not very much. And so I think we can definitely have a little bit more central clearance than the original lens. So kind of a midpoint. And so if we bring this up and give ourselves maybe 5 microns or so, this lens should center up on your patient's eye a little bit better and hopefully get some better vision. So we made not a whole lot of change to the power of the lens, even though the patient is undercorrected. I think getting a little bit more central bearing and then centering the lens a little bit better will get us to the refractive endpoint that we're looking for. So hope this helps. Best of luck with your patient, and thanks for watching.